Welcome to 90.1 KBPK. Hey, I'm Mark Pavlovich, and I'm here at Old Home Week. This is where I used to hang out all the time when I went to Fullerton College. If you go all the way back, this was my place. The theater department is where I was at. Was here for a while when Arch was here. You look at Jimmy Henderson, he used to be here, and a young Todd Glenn started here. I went away for a while, but like the oldest person who's ever been on this campus, I came back. And when I came back, well, we were here with Bob Jensen, Gary Krinke, Tom Blank, and Todd Glenn. Yeah, this was the place. I'm at the box office for the Dotson Theater, and this was filled with laughing voices going all over the place. Right now, though, the voices are a little silent. But that's okay because they're going to come back. There's going to be that joy coming back to this theater department very soon because this is a place where dreams are built on. We've had many people that have come through this program who have been successes in the industry, be it film and or theater when you look at it. So when you look around this theater area, you know this is the place that everybody wants to be. Fullerton College. That's right, Fullerton College has those programs that you all want to go to. So because we have a little setback right now, because there's a little stutter going on in what we're doing, well, that's not stopping any of us. I mean, here in the theater department, I can remember Randy Stripling, the year him and I were both nominated for Actors of the Year. Randy ended up beating me out. I'm not sure how, but he did. And then he went on to fame, and you probably saw him in October Skies. He was the mechanic that made sure he worked on anything, and Randy was in a variety of shows along the way. Why here at Fullerton College? Well, being an old guy, I've always felt like there's family in theater. And I do have people that are family members that I would say are my theater family, like a Ron Dickinson or a Thor Edgell or a Mike Moynihan or a Dennis Hunter when you look at them all together. And that's why when we look at what's going on at this college right now, well, it's all about looking for that dream and looking for that hope. And maybe you're not on campus right now. Maybe you're saying, I'm at home, but you're still studying and you're looking for that dream. Talk about dreams. Well, if we walk down the way, which we will later in this program, and talk to our buddy Joe, he's going to tell you about the dreams that can happen at 90.1 KBPK and talk about all the good things that have happened here, like Chorus Line that was here at the campus theater, a show that everybody knows. It's been on Broadway, it's been on off-Broadway, it's there all the time. This is what this theater department has offered to the individuals that come here. And this is what Fullerton College offers. Why do I keep coming back? Hey, I learn something every time I walk here. And everybody on this campus that you meet's got a smile on their face. Like I said, there's a lot of noise, usually over here in the theater department, but if you walk in the quad, there's going to be smiles on faces. If you walk into any other department, journalism, if you walk over there, you're going to get a smile every now and then. And when we walk over to the sports department later in this broadcast, you're going to hear joy in the voices of guys that have done sports here on 90.1 KBPK. So when you look around here and you look at the theater department, well, don't look at it as an empty place. Think about the voices that would be here. The people that have walked into this theater and walked onto the boards in New York City and or Chicago and have really made their life a success because of Fullerton College. That's what we're talking about today. A school that'll always be here for you, a school that'll always make sure your dreams come true. And just because you're not here physically right now, well, that doesn't mean you're not a Hornet. You know, over in the theater department and over in the athletic department, we all have a saying, once a Hornet, always a Hornet. And that'll travel through your life when you're here. No matter where you go on that next step, that'll be who you are, that Hornet. And you can look at the success that this theater department has brought somebody like me through the years, somebody like Mike Moynihan through the years, a Thor Edgell, people I've already met, and my good friend Randy Stripling. Great man who, I just got to say, Randy, I'm sorry that you left us, but you know what? I'll always smile every time I think about you. And that's what this program has done. I've been lucky enough to be back for many years. The school's embraced me. And yeah, I've had the pleasure of doing sports for Fullerton College. I've done them with all my life. I'm going to say all my life with my partner Corey Nalen at my side. And the young man Ryan Osborne that we've known for years now at the radio department has been that voice. Speaking of my partner that's at my side, there he is. Always here, Corey Nalen. So, you know what? Next time you get a chance, step on this campus. Hear the joy in people's hearts when they walk around here. It's okay that it's quiet for a while, but it won't be quiet long. And that's why we want to come back to this theater department. We want to come back to our athletics that are out here. And we definitely want to be here where the education is being taught at the highest level, if you're looking for that. You know, speaking of sports, I think I ought to get out of the way because I could talk for the next 20 minutes or... Can I get a ticket? That might be a while. So I'm going to wait to see if they'll actually open this up. But in the meantime, I've got a couple good-looking guys standing over in the athletic department. Corey Nalen's over there. I had to give him a little chance to run back over. But you know who's waiting for me with a microphone? Ryan Osborne. Hey, buddy, it's all up to you and Corey now because I've done my bit. So let's go to the athletic department with Ryan Osborne and Corey Nalen on 90.1 KBPK.
Thank you, Mark. Ryan Osborne, Corey Nalen here as we take a look at the fall and spring sports for Fullerton College and practice our social distancing as well. Well, actually, first thing that we want to do is we want to go over something unfortunately sad that happened this offseason for Fullerton College. That is the passing of Dick Campbell, a legendary coach here at Fullerton College, helped coach that 1983 national championship title team under Coach Hal Scherbeck. And Coach Scherbeck called him one of the most valuable coaches he ever had under his staff. Now, if you're wondering, hey, Coach Dick Campbell, I feel like I've heard his name recently. Well, that's because not only did he coach again in 2016 with the Hornets, but that's because his son became the head coach of the Hornets also in recent years in 2019. Now, when you look at Coach Garrett Campbell, he started off as a ball boy under his dad on that 1983 squad, grew up with the team, played for them, and then eventually ended up head coaching them as well. Now he's looking to continue that legacy for the Hornets, a legacy of success, trying to start things off a little differently the next time that the Hornets take the field. Because, Corey, when you look at that 2019 season, to say that Fullerton College didn't have the year that they wanted would be an understatement. They go 5-5, and that middle stretch of the season was probably one of the more rough patches that we've ever seen from Fullerton College football. Why, you ask? Because they ended up having to go up against Riverside, Ventura, Cerritos, Southwestern, 4 solid teams in the top 10 in a 5-week stretch. As if having to face the number 1 team in the nation in RCC wasn't bad enough, you play a couple of overtime games against Southwestern and Ventura, 2 games that Fullerton College arguably in the final minutes should have had. Unfortunately, both times offense didn't quite get across the goal line. The same story would be repeated against Cerritos because Fullerton College had 4 separate times where they were inside the 5-yard line and couldn't punch the ball in, and Cerritos would take advantage of that, winning 45-42. So Fullerton, in that middle stretch, they lose 4 out of 5 games against top 10 opponents and teams that really wanted to take advantage of the fact that Fullerton College was coming off those sanctions from just a year prior. Now, when you look at Fullerton, they ended this season on a bit of a higher note. They win 3 out of 4, but do end up losing the season finisher at Mount Sac, I should say, 20-13. But when you look at the individuals for this football team, Quinn Commons, in his second year with Fullerton College, initially under the tutelage of Gresh Jensen the prior year, who was an all-conference performer himself. Well, Quinn had his opportunity to take advantage of the starting role for Fullerton College, threw for over 2,000 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions with a 63% completion rate. The problem for Fullerton, you could argue, was in the rushing game. They were trying to find that one rusher that they could rely on at all times like they had in the past. Fortunately, they couldn't find that person. The wide receiving game, very different story. You had guys like Keon Fogg, only played 4 games for Fullerton, nonetheless sparkled, now transfers over to Southern University where another Fullerton College alum had recent success in Ladarius Skelton. Then you also look at a guy like Hunter Rison, who was dynamic in the 6 games that he played for Fullerton. 624 yards receiving, 7 touchdowns, and at no point did he shine brighter than in those 2 matchups against Ventura and Cerritos. Back-to-back games with over 150 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns as well. In each of them, he ends up committing to Grand Valley State University. Now, if you want to talk about individuals who truly shined for Fullerton College this last season in 2019, you have to look at the defense. Xavion Steele, Josh Tarango. Spectacular players in their own right. Xavion, the prior year before, was an all-conference performer and nearly a Defensive Player of the Year selection. Josh Tarango in 2019, he was the Defensive Player of the Year. He ends up finishing with 11.5 sacks, threatening that Fullerton College sack record all time, and 18.5 tackles for loss as well. So he ends up getting the Defensive Player of the Year. And Xavion Steele, well, not only would he be an all-conference performer, he would get the opportunity to transfer to Utah State. So for Fullerton College football, unfortunately in 2019, a 5-5 season, but the next time that Fullerton College football steps onto the field over at Hal Scherbeck Field and at Chappelle Stadium, they're going to look to improve on that with Garrett Campbell and his entire coaching staff trying to help out these Hornets and get them to more successful ways. As we continue with the fall sports and the thumbs up, speaking of which, we go to Gabriel Martinez. The last thing that he did was give us a thumbs up prior to his team going out to the state playoffs and winning a semifinal and a state championship as well. His team, their 2nd national title in 6 years. The last time they did it was an undefeated season in 2014. So water polo here at Fullerton College, women's water polo, national champions. You look around the fall sports as well, a lot of success. Volleyball gets back to the playoffs for the first time in 4 seasons. You look at the additional sports like soccer, men and women's soccer, both get into the playoffs. In fact, Fullerton College, not only did they win their own conference, the Orange Empire Conference over top of Golden West, they end up winning their first playoff game in quite a few years as well. They, under coach, they would forgot his name there. They, under coach Greg Aviles, would end up getting their first playoff win in over 8 years, and they would lose in the second round. Women's soccer gets to the playoffs for the first time in over 6 years. Lots of success in the fall sports as we transfer over to spring. And speaking of that transition to spring, well, as we know, things went off the rails a little. They went off the rails a little. You know, with the pandemic happening, both softball and baseball weren't able to finish off the seasons like they would have wanted. In fact, softball and baseball only got barely to the point of getting to conference play, and then they had to shut down their seasons just like everyone else. For basketball, a very different story. Coach Perry Webster had one of the best teams in the entire state. Unfortunately for him, it was kind of a battle with injuries. Some of his star players weren't able to get themselves onto the court due to injury, and it would cost them in the playoffs. They end up going out in round 1. Women's basketball has one of their more successful seasons in the last 5 years or so under Coach Marcia Foster. And for Fullerton College at this point, it's just a waiting game. But there's a lot of hope coming up. Why? Because, again, like we talked about, Fullerton College football, lots of prospects coming up. Soccer, they had a lot of freshmen on that team, both men and women, in their conference title hopes. Water polo, well, that's Coach Gabriel Martinez territory, and he's always going to field himself a solid squad that gets into the playoffs. Lots of hope for these Fullerton College sports and athletics coming up. So stay tuned here to 90.1 KBPK as we continue to give you updates on when those seasons might start up, or if we have any news, spectacular stories as well, like Hunter Rison having his opportunity to continue to transfer after spending a year here at Fullerton College, getting those priorities straight, moving on to another school, and having success as well. If we have more stories like that, we'll let you know. Don't forget to give us a like on Facebook and also follow our Instagram as well.
90.1 KBPK, Joseph Pavlenko here at Fullerton College and at KBP. Keep the microphone in front of you, folks. At KBPK. Obviously on Fullerton College. And Ryan before me and Mark before him were talking, the campus is a little quieter. KBPK is still loud. We're still broadcasting always on the air here at Fullerton College. But the station itself is a little more empty because we don't have the students eager to learn this semester like we normally do, which is unfortunate. Many classes have moved remotely, again, as Mark was talking about earlier in our program, but the space feels empty. We're still broadcasting. It's unfortunate. We're looking to come back soon. We have many educators that help out at the radio program that I know are, I'm sure, also eager to come back and put some of that knowledge and that technical expertise that they have gained over their years of working in the various radio, television, film industries into these young students' minds and share those experiences. Once a Hornet, always a Hornet. And I think most of us here at KBPK believe that to some degree. We're all here. I think we've almost all been students here, been able to go out, work professionally, come back and have the opportunity to come back and work for the college in some capacity. I think I'm going to send it over, and I think we'll start landing the plane, for a lack of a better term. We'll kick it back to the entire group that's been doing this segment, and we'll do our send-off. I think we're going to the quad.
So thank you again, Joe. Again, here we're at 90.1 KBPK. And you know what, Joe? Since 90.1 KBPK, it's not like it's completely stopped here. We've got the station bumping 24/7. Where can we find some more information on KBPK?
Like you said earlier, check out our Instagram. Go to Instagram, search 90.1 KBPK. Same with Facebook. We're on YouTube, search 90.1 KBPK. We're on there. We also have the Orange Voice News interview shows, and those are also on YouTube if you search Orange Voice News.
And you know what? With KBPK bringing out constant product, we're making sure that we stay relevant, especially in these times where, you know what? At KBPK, we cover a lot of stuff. We cover music, we cover campus, we cover athletics. Anything we can possibly get our hands on topic-wise and info-wise, we'll make sure to pass along to you as well. Now, Mark, you were talking about the theater department just a few moments ago. When you look at Fullerton College and this campus, one thing that is emphasized for us here at 90.1 KBPK and across the entire world, make sure you wear your mask.
Yeah, keep that mask on and do what we're doing right now. As you can see, we're all social distancing, especially one of us in the back who's staying away from the three guys in the front. So make sure when you go out, mask on at all times. And hey, respect everybody's space. That's one thing we'd love to have you do. I know it's crowded in movie theaters if you go. I know it's going to be crowded when you go to the market. But hey, stand on those little dots on the floor and at least do like Ryan's doing with me. Give me 6 feet when I come around you. Ryan, if that happens, Joe, we all respect it. You look at Mr. Nalen behind us. If we all do what he's doing, I think this thing might clear up sooner than we think. Let's hope so, because we need to get back on this beautiful campus.
So that about wraps it up here on 90.1 KBPK. Don't forget to stay with us right here on the YouTube channel, Facebook, like Joe mentioned, Instagram, and as well online to get some more updates, more info, and stories from 90.1 KBPK. For Corey Nalen, Joe Pavlenko, and Mr. Mark Pavlovich, I am Ryan Osborne, thanking you for watching 90.1 KBPK.